Hello everyone. I wanted to do a video today about conflict and INFJs, or in general people who are afraid of conflict. And I was asked recently, I think it was through a comment, they asked me how to have a conflict or to disagree with someone who you disagree with without actually resulting in a conflict. And I think this is what I spend a lot of my time doing, and a lot more time in the past doing, is alleviating or avoiding conflict. So doing everything possible in my sphere of influence to avoid conflict. So to agree with someone even if I disagreed with them, to placate people even though I thought that they were being idiots, to be nice to people even though I thought that they were the kind of people I would never want to hang out with again. Doing all these little things that were basically degrading myself and degrading who I was as a person, what I like, what I wanted to do, what I really wanted to do, and not listening to my needs and my desires, not being authentic to myself, and just going along with the crowd because it was just much easier than actually getting into a conflict. And I'm sure you've known this already about yourself if you're an INFJ, that in order to avoid conflict, we're so afraid of it that we will do anything to avoid it. And one of the main things that we do to avoid it is to door slam. We completely don't even want to talk to the person because we can't explain ourselves, because we haven't built our muscle that allows us to disagree with someone without it resulting in a conflict. Or even if it does result in a conflict, we don't have that muscle to deal with conflicts. We're so afraid of them. And so we don't build that muscle, we just completely avoid it by door slamming the person. We're like, oh, well, I'm too afraid to actually confront this person, so I'm just going to leave the situation. I'm just going to eliminate them from my life and pretend like that never happened. Well, actually, what really happens is that we are not able to pretend like it never happened, and we're holding on to that resentment against that person for whatever they did for eons to come. Yeah, we might be thinking about it decades later, thinking, oh my God, I can't believe that person did that, because we weren't able to get closure. And I think that's one of the main problems with the door slam, is that it doesn't allow us to get that closure, because we'll keep on having that conversation in our heads about, oh, if he says this, I'll say that, and if she says that. And we're never able to actually say it out loud to the person, so we never actually get closure. And so we're usually holding on to all of these emotions and all of this conflict in our heart and our mind for the rest of our lives. That's why I'm always telling you all to either reverse all your door slams or not to do them anymore, at least. Now, I really found this question fascinating because the person's like, so how do I disagree with this person without causing a conflict? Or what if I am going to disagree with someone and there's definitely going to be conflict because of it? Do I just completely avoid it? Because that's usually the conversation that goes on in our heads as INFJs. We're constantly thinking, okay, should I say out loud what I'm actually thinking? Because will that result in a conflict? Am I ready for that conflict? Can I deal with it? Am I okay with this person not being in my life anymore? Am I okay with this person not being friends with me anymore, or getting rid of me as an individual in their life? And if we're okay with it, then we'll say out loud what we're thinking. But in a lot of cases, it doesn't result in the friendship or the relationship ending. It's just us making a big deal out of it in our heads. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but most of the time I would say actually it doesn't. And it teaches us, the practice of saying out loud what we actually want to say, and realizing that it doesn't result in a huge disaster. It doesn't result in our relationship or our friendship fading away or falling apart. That practice of realizing that that's how the real world works, that you say out loud you don't like something, and the other person takes it, and it doesn't result in a deterioration of the relationship. That practice is really good for us. Unfortunately, we don't do it because we're so afraid of it. And I'm saying it for myself as well. I'm one of the biggest people that avoids conflict. I'm trying very much not to nowadays, of course, but it's one of my Achilles heels for sure. So as I said, practice, of course, with it. But one of the main things you need to realize is that that imaginary world that you've created in your head that says that every conflictual conversation is going to result in a deterioration of a relationship or in a huge disaster is absolutely false, actually. And in a lot of the cases, you'll notice that you'll be able to say whatever is on your mind out loud and not result in a conflict, not result in a confrontation, actually result in a conversation a lot of times, which is great because that's what you want. You want an open conversation with the person based on what you're feeling and what you want to tell them, and accept all of the other stuff. The other part of the situation is that, yes, maybe sometimes it will result in a conflict. Sometimes, yes, it will result in the person being angry with you for saying out loud what is the truth, because that's what you're saying out loud, and some people can't handle it. There's a reason why that statement is so true. You can't handle the truth. Well, most people can't. And that means that, yeah, sometimes it will result in a conflict and you're just going to have to deal with it. Now, how do you deal with it? First of all, realize that some people don't want to be told the truth. So you need to understand, why are you telling them the truth? Are you telling it to them because you want to create some drama, or you want to create some waves in the situation, or you want to actually get rid of this person from your life? Are you saying it because it's your own ego telling you to say it because you want to feel superior to the other person? Or are you saying it because you actually think it'll be useful to the other person? If you think it's going to be useful to the other person, it's going to help them grow and transform and become a better person, then obviously do it. But really be careful about that, because in a lot of cases, I think we share the truths that we think are necessary to be shared, not because we think it's going to benefit the other person, but because we're doing it to feed our own ego, to feed our own illusion of ourselves that, oh my God, I'm so cool because I tell the truth about everyone and look at me, kind of thing. So really be careful about, why are you doing that? Why are you sharing that information with the other person? What do you want from it? What is the end result of it? And then once you are absolutely sure that you want to share that information with that person, understand that, yeah, either they'll take it properly and they'll be like, oh wow, I can't believe this is true, and they might be surprised or perturbed for a little bit of time, but eventually they'll come around. Or they'll hate you for it, and then your relationship is over and they never want to talk to you again. And be all right with that. The main issue here is not that you're disagreeing with the person, it's the fact that you don't want to have any conflict at all in your life. Why do we assume, I know why we assume that we want harmony in our lives, but why do we assume that we're going to go through life without having a single conflict? Why do we assume that we're going to go through decades of living on this planet among other people, never having had a fight with anyone, never having had a conflict with anyone? It's absolutely ridiculous. It's ludicrous. It's insane to imagine that would be the situation. Even babies have conflicts. And they fight with each other. Or at least the ones that I've hung out with. Either way, realize that it's just a part of life, right? It's actually quite normal and actually makes you grow and makes the other person grow as well. So especially as an INFJ, though, I would say that this is something, it's a muscle that you really have to start building. And if you're in your early 20s or if you're in your teen years, that's great. Start building it right now, because it'll really teach you how to deal with people better. And if you're older, obviously still, start learning and start doing it right now, because otherwise you're going to be stuck in this loop of never saying out loud what you want to say, and then resenting the person because you can't say out loud what you want to say, because you believe that the person's going to take it badly when they might not. And then door slamming them because you're afraid to actually say out loud what you want to say, and instead of actually having that confrontation or conflict, you just get rid of the person completely out of your life, right? Which is the worst way to deal with it. As I said, you're not going to get your closure, you're constantly going to be thinking about it, and it's just going to haunt you for the rest of your life. It's not the way you want to live your INFJ life, I'm sure. So yes, so that's what I would say about it. So again, conflict is not something to be avoided. Actually build that muscle and realize that actually most conversations, honest conversations, will not result in a conflict. Now, if you're absolutely sure it's going to result in a conflict, then again, ask yourself the question, why do you want to get into it? If you know it's going to get you into a conflict, do you want to fight with this person? Or why you think it's necessary to say these things out loud to this person? Are you trying to create some kind of transformation in the person, or are you trying to get something out of it? What is it exactly? Why are you doing this? Understand your reasoning behind it, your motivations behind it, and that'll help you a little bit more in understanding why you're doing it and if you should do it. Maybe you shouldn't, right? So I hope this answers the question of the person who asked the question. I don't actually remember who it was because I didn't write it down, but hopefully this is helpful. If you have any other questions about this, obviously comment below and I shall do a follow-up video. But hopefully this helps. Again, I'm so grateful that you're in my life, you're here, you're listening, and I hope that you're doing well and you're safe wherever you are in the world. I'll talk to you the next time around. Bye.